Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today on this lovely, windy Monday morning? Welcome to my page, Kate May, Modern Day Mystic. So, gosh, it is windy. I'm watching outside and everything's just blowing a gale. Anyway, Mondays. So I like to do a little chit chat every Monday, about 9ish. I'm a little bit late today because I was doing the weekly tarot scopes for some other people. And I never really know what I'm going to talk about until something inspires me. And yesterday I was talking to someone and they said something about me being emotional. And I said, actually, I'm not emotional. And they were like, oh, well, then maybe that's something you need to work on. I don't think so. So for me, being emotional is different to being sensitive. I am very, very sensitive. I can pick things up a mile off. And I'm a typical Taurian who knows things and then can have a complete poker face and play dumb if it suits the situation. And that will that's nothing to do with being sly or anything like that. That is to prevent an explosion of some kind, because we're not very good at confrontations. Now, for me, being emotional is somebody who cries at the drop of a hat, who can't cope with a lot of things. Everything feels like it's too much for them. Everything feels like it is, they get sad, they get upset, they can't control things properly, and they pick up on other people's stuff and it affects them a lot, similar to empaths, not quite, but similar. And they're just, they can't make rational decisions, they just can't think straight. So that to me is somebody who is emotional, maybe over emotional. Someone who's in touch with their emotions will feel that energy. So I am in touch with my emotions. I know when something it feels wrong or feels right or feels a bit sad. But I'm not an emotional person as a rule. The things I tend to get upset about, anything to do with kids. I'm just going to pull this over because it is a bit of a bright light and I can't see anything. Anything to do with children definitely makes me, oops, weird noise. Anything to do with children definitely triggers me, and animals. But I am sensitive to things. So I think sensitivity and being emotion sometimes get mistaken. I'm definitely not someone who cries a lot. What I do get teary with is Alan Titchmarsh's Love Your Garden. I can't help that. At the end of that programme, I love that programme, but at the end of that programme, I will definitely have some water in my eyes, without a doubt. I don't watch Long Lost Family, that would just kill me. But those type of things do. But day-to-day things, I'm not emotional. I tend to save up, and my friends know this, what I call my real friends, my friends that know me outside or the spiritual world, the people that know me in a different way. And they're like, I don't cry, I can have like, stuff going on, and I'll kind of save it up for funerals. That's what they all say. We joke about it. I save it up for funerals, so I won't cry, I won't get upset about something for about 3 years, and then there'll be a funeral, and then I'll just let it all out because it's like it's there. Everyone else is crying, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go in with it, and it's a bit of a funny joke there. That's not to say that people who cry or who are sensitive or who are emotional is wrong in any way. I'm not saying that at all. Everyone is different, and for some people it absolutely works, but for me it doesn't work. In the line of work that I do, for me to be super emotional just wouldn't work. I'd be a wreck all the time. And I've learned over the years to detach myself from certain energies. There are some things that stay in my mind from some people's trauma. There are some things you can't, I'm human, but I have learned to detach myself, and that detachment has carried on throughout all my private life as well. Cole's the same. He's not super emotional. He's very, very sensitive, and this is the difference I think that people don't always understand, especially when they're when they get to know that I'm not really emotional. They're like, and like I said, someone said to me yesterday, well, maybe you need to work on that. And I've worked on myself for years. I'm always working on myself. So I don't feel like I need to work on myself to be more emotional at all. I'm very, very sensitive, like I said. And, I think sensitive people will pick up things but they don't necessarily need to cry about it. So emotional and sensitive to me are two different things there. So I feel like when I get emotional, I can't make a rational decision. I feel like I can't think straight. I feel like I'm not really grounded at all, and I feel like I'm not in the best place. So I have learned, and I've never been emotional, you know. There's a couple of emotions I've never really had. One of them is jealousy. I've just never been jealous, and I think that's a really unusual trait for a Taurus, because it's normally a Taurian trait. We do have a jealousy. Now I'm more jealous of friendships than I am of relationships. I've never been jealous of a partner ever, and I think that's down to my parents' upbringing. The way, like my dad, when it was his 40th, my mum booked him a massage with someone, and she made sure it was a hot girl, so that he would enjoy it, and there was no jealousy at all. And my mum's always kind of been comfortable in her own skin, and always said, like, that woman over there is beautiful, and she'll go up to people and say, I love your hair, I love your shoes, where did you get that bag? So I've always been really just been brought up with being comfortable with supporting other women, and never ever been jealous of a connection with a man. And in my head, I'm like, if I was jealous of someone, and do you know, my son's exactly the same, and I haven't even taught him it. We were talking about it the other day, and he says it's a wasted emotion. Jealousy, it's a wasted emotion. Why would I have that? And I'm like, exactly. So for me, if I'm jealous of a girl over a man, I'm like, well, if the man's going to go off with her, he's not worth it in the first place. So therefore, what's the point in being jealous? And if he's not going off with her, then what's the point in being jealous anyway? I'm just never have. But friendship groups, I definitely have felt jealousy within friendship groups, and with that's it, with friendship groups there, but not in a romantic way. It's weird, isn't it? Tauruses are more about possessions there, so we can be, our friendships we can be a bit, not possessed, but we can be a little bit controlling sometimes with certain friendships there, particularly as younger people, before we've worked through our stuff. Let's have a look here. So I probably learned at a long age to deal with my emotions in a practical way, in a down-to-earth way, just because that's how my parents are. They're not over, even though my mum's very, very sensitive and she can be very emotional, she's also got a logical side to her as well. My dad is very grounded and very logical and down-to-earth. Let's just have a look. I've got there. Kerry, I have detached myself, but didn't realise that is what I was doing. Yeah, we detach ourselves. So that I found out something last week, which is really interesting. I'm just going to have a quick hello. I've got loads of you there. Morning, Lindsay. Morning, Alison. Morning, Christine. Morning, Kerry. Morning, Tracy. Morning, Diane. Morning, Danny. Morning, Lisa. Morning, Laura. Morning, Roz. Morning, Clancy. Morning, Mandy. Morning, Kerry. Morning, Bill. Morning, Abby. Morning, Paul. Morning, Gillian. Morning, Nicola. Good morning, everyone. What was I just going to say there? Yes, detaching yourself. So detaching yourself is a way of protecting, isn't it? You detach yourself because you don't want to get hurt. And again, as a Taurus, literally, I will give everything to anyone. But the minute, and it will only take a slither, and did I see Bill? Yeah, Bill's on here, he'll know. The minute somebody makes me question my integrity or my friendship, or that makes me feel like, what? Then that's it. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. But I can paint on the smile, and I can still be like, okay, I'm still going to be friends with you. I can still do my things. But in my heart, you've just shut me down. And it's going to take a little while for you to open it up. So that trust will need to build. So as a Taurus, we can detach ourselves quite quickly, but we may still be hanging on by the thread, because Tauruses don't like to give up. And when we give our heart, it's a massive deal, because we're ruled by Venus. Libra will be the same. So it's a big, big deal to give our heart. So when somebody betrays us, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, it's massive, it's huge. And they almost have to, it goes through stages. We don't leave people straight away. They almost have to like kill our grandma before we go, oh, okay, yeah, we really do need to leave you. But Tauruses don't like change. So it takes us forever to walk away, but we put that block up, but we still hang in there, because we have a hope that they'll get it sorted, or that we'll have a hope that it will get better there. And that's, for me, is a way of controlling emotions. So when you put your guard up, you're controlling your emotions. But it doesn't mean to say you'll stop being sensitive at all. It just means you're in control of an emotional situation, not necessarily stop being sensitive there. What did she put there? So just Scorpio, not sure. Scorpio are better at cutting. Scorpio, like, I'm done, see ya, never see you again. Scorpio are a lot quicker at cutting things. Taurus and Scorpio are the complete opposites of the chart. But yeah, Tauruses take a long time. In their head and in their heart, they might be starting to cut the ties. But physically doing it, they won't actually start moving away for a long time. But Scorpios, overnight, they can just be like, yeah, fuck you, missus, I'm gone. They're a lot quicker to do it. Jealous more in the male. Scorpios are jealous. Scorpios have a very strong jealous streak. I'm not sure what other part. Scorpios is one of the strongest jealous streaks in the zodiac. Just trying to think of some others that might be super there. Cancerians, not necessarily jealous, but Cancerians are insecure. So Cancerians can have a controlled nature because they've got their own insecurities. So they like everything to be just where it is. They like their family, their friends. They like their home is super important. They like people to be around them, and they feel better when they're at home or when they've got their family around them, because that's their nature of their insecurities there. Roz says she is sensitive too. Lindsay, that sage is still on fire. Oh my God, we lit some sage yesterday and we set the fire alarms off at this beautiful retreat that we did. And it went on forever and ever. I wonder though, Lindsay, like, that says something, doesn't it? If the sage is going on and on and on, perhaps that building really needed a big cleanse there. Big cleanse there. Morning, Sarah, from your hospital bed. Oh no, what's up? What's up? Virgos, now Virgos can be jealous, definitely Virgos can be jealous. Virgos like everything in order, they like to have their neat things, and they're very particular. So yeah, they can be a little bit manipulative, Virgos, with their jealous streak. So they will say, no, I'm not bothered. And they are bothered because it's given them a little bit of a kink in some way. So Virgo will like to take control of that situation and could be a little bit manipulative sometimes there. Roz, I'm a Virgo, but give people a few chances. But yeah, and you know what? With all the signs, like the sun sign is just a tiny part of you. Your sun sign is just like maybe your head. Then you've got your moon sign, which could be your arm. Then you've got your I don't know, ascendant, which could be your other arm. So in the other part, so your sun sign is just a tiny part of you. It's difficult to say like a Virgo's like this or a Scorpio's like this, because if a Scorpio's got a strong Taurus moon, maybe it will have a different impact. If a Virgo has got a strong Libra ascendant, you're going to be a different personality. So it's difficult to say all there, really. But it's just interesting how I don't think a lot of people really, we know it, but we don't really understand it, or we've not even thought about it. The difference between sensitivity and being emotional. You can absolutely be sensitive. You can be in tune to things. You can pick up the energy of everyone and everything, but that doesn't mean to say you'll have to be emotional with it. So like I said, I'm definitely not an emotional person. You will not often see me cry unless I'm watching Love Your Garden with Alan Titchmarsh, and then that just does me. And yeah, obviously children things do me, but day-to-day things, I'm pretty strong at dealing with that. I'm not saying crying is a weakness, but it's just not there of me. But sensitive, I can pick something up a mile off. I just might not share it because I don't like confrontations and I don't like to change. Tauruses don't like change. So if we're picking something up, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, that means there's going to be a change. Oh no, we'll just bury it. We'll just pretend it's not happening. And then if it's not happening, we don't have to deal with it. That's a little bit of us there. Kerry, we are in signs all different but similar too, if that makes sense. Yes, there's a thread through the signs. So a general Aries is like this, a Pisces is like that, a Cancer is like that. There's a thread, but loads of different elements will make up the person's personality there. Lindsay, I just ignore jealousy, think that's a wasted emotion and not necessary. I find it hard to understand why this happened. Yeah, again, it's different strokes, different folks. I remember being very jealous as a child of other friends, definitely. And I remember my mum once saying to me that she loved my cousin. And I was like, what do you mean you love my cousin? What, don't you love me? And she was like, no, it's in a different way. And I just didn't get it. And I found that really difficult to deal with. And Yeah, so I definitely, as a child, definitely I had a lot more envious and a lot more jealous streak in me as a child. As an adult, you can work through that, can't you? And your logic comes in. But as a child, I was definitely jealous of friendship groups, for sure, there. And even, you know, sometimes now, I prefer to do things on my own, but there's still sometimes now when I see a group of friends doing things and I'm like, I wish I had that little group. And then another time I'll be like, fuck that shit, I'm glad I'm on my own. So it still like sneaks in its little way, because when it's part of you, you just learn how to deal with it, don't you there? But for me, being emotional just doesn't work for me. I'm in tune with my emotions, but I'm not an emotional person. I'm a sensitive person there. But I was really, really pleased when my son said to me, I don't know what we were talking about. I think he said about an ex-girlfriend moving on. And I was like, does that bother you? Are you jealous? And he was like, why would I be jealous? Jealous is a wasted emotion. What purpose does it serve? And he's like 16. And I'm like, oh my God. Nicola, being on the cusp of Cancer Leo, I find my jealousy isn't an emotion. I feel more disappointed in others because I generally see that sometimes people want to play games as they want you to be jealous because it proves your friendship. I end those friendships quickly. Yeah, so Leos can get a little bit envious because they want the limelight, they want the best of things, they want what they want. And like I say, Cancers are very insecure as a rule, so being on the cusp, and again, all the different things will make up different things going on there. Not many people are going to admit to being jealous, to be honest. Not many people are going to admit to something on their shadow side there, to be honest. But I think we've all got something there. It's just how we manage it there. But being disappointed with other people is huge, isn't it? Being let down by other people. And we tend to judge others. We do judge, you know. Lots of people say, oh, I'm spiritual, I don't judge. But we do judge. And because we're human, that's what we do. We learn to judge in different ways as we work on that and as we get older. But we do judge. So it's silly saying we don't judge. It's silly saying we don't gossip. Everyone gossips. I never gossip, I'm pure. No, we all have a little gossip. We all talk about someone at some time or another. And when we can own some things, that really helps shift some energy anyway. But being let down by people, being disappointed by people, that hurts because you tend to, and this is human nature, you judge people by your actions, your standards, how you act, how you do things. And I always find this interesting. I had a boyfriend back in the day, long time ago, and he was super jealous and used to accuse me of everything and anything. And I'd done nothing, did nothing. And as we got older, I mean, we was 14 when we started going out, 19 when I finished with him. And when I got to about 19, 20, I found out that he'd been seeing other girls. So everything that he'd been accusing me of, everything, he'd been doing himself. And I was like, one, you prick. Two, wow, that's interesting. And that started to teach me that we judge others how we judge ourselves and our actions. So a lot of the time you'll find that people are acting in a certain way because that's what they normally do. So if you've got someone who is maybe not living up to who they say they are, or somebody who is accusing you of doing something, it quite often is where they're at. They might not be living up to their own standard, or they could be doing things that they're not pleased about. So they're projecting that energy onto other people there. But yeah, I don't like being let down by others. I find that quite tough because I know I'm a loyal person, and if I say yes, I'm going to do something, I'll do it. And I try not to let people down. I really don't. So it's big. It's big for some people when you get let down. And it's a bit of a shock when it's not something you do normally, and then you have it done to you. It's like, oh, okay, so our values are different. And again, this is a Taurian thing. Taurian rules the second house, which is all about values. So we have strong values, moral values that are strong, and when those values get broken, it's like, wow, that's a bit of a game changer there. That's a bit of a game changer. Kerry, I think as I've got older, it's not an emotion that I need anymore. It's more playground stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As you get older, you see the bigger picture. One, if you get woken up and you're on the spiritual path, you see the bigger picture a lot more. So you can understand why things happen. You can see on the soul level that your soul needs to grow from that experience, and they're just using that human form as a vessel, you know, so you can maybe not like the person, but soul plan, the energy, the experience that you've had with that person. If you look at it on a soul level, actually you're like, cheers mate, thanks for that, you've helped my soul grow. As a person, I think you're a bit of a dick, but if I look at just your soul, then I like that. So that's going to benefit you. So you can kind of look at people in two ways there. That really helps when someone has done something negative to you, or something that you just can't get over. Have a look at their soul rather than them themselves there. And yeah, and then the other thing is just when you get older anyway, you just, life's short, it goes so quick, and you just think, fuck that shit, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. So you start to understand that, yeah, people can play games. There's a lot of playground stuff, and it just doesn't matter. It's not important in your life, especially when you've got your own stuff going on. You're like, really? That's just not important. That's just not important. So growing up, definitely, growing up helps there tremendously. Somebody else put something on there. I can't find it. Is Lindsay? Yes, as a child, it's particularly if you came from a big family and not getting love from your parents. Think it stems from if there's their favourites. Yeah, quite possibly. My yeah, I was just a jealous child, and I had no reason to be, because I had a great childhood, loads of love. I was just wanted more. I was just wanted more. Just, I don't know. Yeah, just in my little nature there. And I was very manipulative as well. That's another Taurian trait, you know. Like I say, some of us, we don't like to own these shadow sides, but once we start to understand them, I really think everyone should have their charts done. Once you understand your astrology chart, you can go, oh, that's why I'm like that. You don't battle it anymore. You don't fight it anymore. You just own it. You just accept it. So I'm aware that I've got some manipulative traits there. But I'm aware when I'm about to use them. So I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. Back in the day when I was younger, a lot younger, talking 30 years younger, I probably would have done, maybe 40 years actually, I'm talking like really young. I would have done, but you're aware of it, and that's the stuff in it with sensitivity and with emotions. When you are sensitive, that's the thing, that you become aware of your emotions. So then if you know it's going to have a positive effect, you can work with it. But if you know actually this isn't for the good, then you can pull it back a little bit there. So Nicola, as I've gotten older, I've learned how to separate other people's emotions from my own, and this has helped a lot. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can, other people's stuff, and again, when you get into the spiritual thing, morning Johnny boy, when you wake up, but just when you grow up with life, you can see like that their stuff is their stuff, and you can learn to detach themselves. A lot of people ask me, they pop in the shop and they say, you know, how can I stop myself from getting over emotional, getting attached? How can I stop being too empathetic, blah blah blah. And there's all these little ways, you know, you can put a mirror around yourself, you can put a cloak of protection, you can sage yourself, you can do all these little things. And then there's a really simple one, especially when you're with someone. Your solar plexus is where your energy comes out, it's where you draw in and out. So you can literally just put your hand over your solar plexus. You can slightly turn your body away so that that area isn't connected to theirs. They might feel a bit rude if you're like, all right there, Sheila, yeah, all right. But you can just put your hand, slightly turn, and put your hand over your solar plexus with that conscious knowing of like, I'm just blocking that energy. I don't really like the word block, because you can't block really, can you? But you're consciously allowing your subconscious to know, I'm not letting this happen. I'm not letting this happen. So that can really help you if you are oversensitive, and that oversensitivity turns you into an emotional wreck, an emotional mess there. That can really, really help you do that. Just simple. Put your hand over your solar plexus, and you might find that you do that naturally when you're with certain people or when you watch certain programs there. You know, how often do we bend forward when we're crying, and when bend forward when we're upset? It's like we hold on to our stomach, don't we, when we're crying there, and we give our stomach a hug, we give our solar plexus a hug without even realizing it. So your sacral and your solar plexus are really important around that sensitivity and emotional connections there. And just because I'm not emotional, it doesn't mean to say that I don't have feelings and that I'm not sensitive. It's the opposite. I'm just not a crying type of person. I'm just not, I move on logically from things. I'm like, okay, what can you do about that? That's done. There's no point going over that. And don't know, I just don't cry a lot. It's just weird. It's just weird. But I'm all right with it. I don't feel like I need to do any work on that. I'm all right with that. That works for me because I know that I'm still very sensitive, and I know that that I can still pick up what I need to pick up. See you later, Kerry. Thank you. John, the solar plexus is where psychic vampires drain you. Absolutely, and that's what we say. Psychic vampires. It's a word, isn't it, that gets thrown about now. So that's where you put your hand over your solar plexus to consciously think, I'm not having that. Because with everything, we've got control. With everything, I'm not going to go down the road of being possessed and all of that with this chat. But with all of it, we've got control. When we start to think, oh, we're being taken over, or this is happening, that is happening, we've got control. We can say when, we can say who, we can say where. So if we're not happy with a situation, we can control that emotion, or we can take back our power, and we can start to realign our sensitivity side so that we don't feel out of balance, or that we don't feel out of control, more importantly, out of control of that situation. So understanding where you're at with your emotional side and your sensitive or sensitivity side, I think is super important. Those two words kind of, they're not the same, and I'm not sure that everyone understands that, or they may understand it, but they might have forgotten that they understand it. So if people say like, you're not emotional, that's something that you need to work on, then maybe not the case, maybe not. Like I say, for me, it's not the case. I'm all right with not being emotional because I know I'm sensitive. Being emotional to me means I'm a wreck, means I can't focus, means I can't think, means I can't act clearly. It means that I'm not in control of things. It means my emotions have ruled over that. And I prefer to be the way I am, in control of my emotions, but still be sensitive. So I hope that helps anyone. I hope that kind of makes people think a little bit more. That's the whole point of these little Monday morning things there, to inspire people, to help people think outside the box a little bit there. Now, I said it last week, we have got Game Changer month March, Game Changer in lots of ways. We've got lots of planetary lineups. We've got Saturn in Pisces. We've got the new moon is coming in Aries soon. The moon, it goes from Pisces to Aries. We've also got Uranus connected to Aquarius. We've got some big things. We've got Chiron, Jupiter in Chiron, which is lovely. So we've got some big energies this month. So you're going to feel super emotional. You're going to feel super intuitive. You're going to feel super sensitive, and more empathy for yourself and for others, because things are getting heightened. Things are starting to really level up. But in that, there's also that sense of excitement with things. So there's almost like this nervous anxiety pull in your belly, like, I don't know if I'm nervous or excited or anxious or what. There's something going on with all of us at the moment, and it is exciting. It is exciting. Lindsay, you understand that these emotions are not yours, or you need to be addressed. Big process to do. Oh, hold on, I've lost you. Big process to do, and you've done it. Well done. Your conscious has evolved and know who you are. Yeah, but I still think some people are, especially if they're water sign, they are going to be emotional. So it may not necessarily always be something that they've got to address. It might just be in their makeup. And again, this is where having your astrology chart can really, you can understand yourself, and then you can stop battling with things. Because if you've got Scorpio, the Cancer and Pisces, or in perhaps your fourth house, then that's like intuitive and house of mum. You're going to be sensitive, absolutely. You're going to be highly emotional with things, definitely. So it might not be that you've got things to work on. It might just be you. It might just be that's your makeup. So I would be like 50-50 on having to work through stuff and then learning about who you are and accepting who you are. Not everything has to be a big deal. Some things I think are just, they are what they are there. And it's a little bit like, you can literally turn everything into something. You fall down the stairs, you break your leg, and you say, oh, spirit made me fall down the stairs, I'm going too fast, I need to slow my life down. maybe, but sometimes you might have just tripped. Maybe you just fell down the stairs. It doesn't all have to be blamed on spirit or for a reason. Sometimes it is just what it is. Sometimes you just fell. Sometimes you just did something that it is what it is. And I think if we put too much emphasis on having to try and fix things emotionally, or too much emphasis on the spirit things, that's when we lose a bit of our own power and our own personal responsibility. And it's like, yeah, I will slow down. However, I did just knock myself at the top and fall down, or whatever it is. So I like to keep things pretty grounded there. And you know, even in lockdown, how many people will slow down and we're like, yeah, we're going to slow down now. The world is doing this, universe is doing this to make us all slow down. How quick did we forget that? How quick did we get back on the bike and start getting all busy again? And then we had another lockdown. It's like, oh yeah, we forgot about that, we need to slow back down again. So yeah, I think sometimes there's a balance. It's not, for me, it's not 100% something to work through, or 100% spirit has made you fall down the stairs to slow you down. Sometimes we're just a bit clumsy. Sometimes it is what it is there. So it's all about balance. Nicole, do you do astrology? Yeah, I do. Do I do charts for people? I can read a chart. When I studied it, I was able to create a chart. And that was before, I did it a long time ago, 20 odd years ago, before they had all the technology. But now, now I don't bother doing that because people can do it for free. So Google free astrology chart, type in the place of birth, date of birth, time of birth, and your name, and you'll get your astrology chart for free. I use Astrolabe. You can have equal houses or not, it doesn't really matter to begin with. But you can do that for free, so just Google that, put all the information in. If you don't know your time of birth, I wish they put that on birth certificates. If you don't know it, then you'll have to go and find an astrologer. And I do know some proper astrologers who can work out your life's pattern. So perhaps when you got married, when you had children, when someone died, when you left home, significant things that have happened in your life. An astrologer can go back over the dates. Those that actually do it as a job, they can go back over the dates and pinpoint it to a rough time when you were born. It's never going to be exact. But if you know the time you were born, you can crack on and do it yourself. And yeah, I can read charts. But you know, to be honest, you'll get so much information on the internet. I use mine within my readings. So I use the star signs or astrology within the readings that I do. Not usually as separate. I teach it separately if you want to learn it, but I don't do it as a separate reading. Okay, lovelies, have a lovely Monday. The sun is shining, even if it is really windy. Have a fabulous week, whatever you've got planned. And know that we're all going through some shifts. Know that we're all waking up, and embrace it. Exciting times. Try not to get over emotional or oversensitive. Find that balance. And I will catch up with you all next Monday. Take care. See ya.